In this little unit here, we're going to talk about a disease, an ailment that owners and sales managers all have, and it comes into place when you feel the need to take over the appointment that you're on. You're out there for training, but you can't help yourself. You hear the damsel in distress. You hear the little boy in the train tracks. You turn into Superman and you come in to save the day. This Supermanning, which is not a member of the Archie Manning football team, this is a real action thing that you do as a sales manager. You have to stop it. You have to stop it with one exception. But this comes into play when you're sitting and you go with somebody, you're there to observe, they screw up a little bit, you get a little embarrassed, you got bills to pay, there's an opportunity to win, and you just sort of shove your rep to the side to safety, you come in, save the day, win the deal, you feel great about yourself, your chest is pumped out really high, you walk out, and the rep just kind of looked like this. They didn't really do anything, right? They got you there, hooray, they were your lead generator. You might feel great about it until you realize, wait a minute, I wasn't even here to close the business, I was here to help train. What did this guy or gal learn? They didn't learn anything. They were so embarrassed themselves that they weren't paying attention to what I was doing. It wasn't coordinated. You basically ruined an opportunity to learn. There's obviously one exception to this, which is if you were brought in as the owner to seal the deal, then seal the deal. But that was choreographed in advance. That was part of the plan. And that's part of selling, that's part of all people selling. So if you're coming in to close a deal, close it. But on those moments where you're training, train. Firefighting professionals are trained extensively when something goes wrong. Obviously they're trained when something goes right, they do their normal stuff, but they have a huge deep dive when there was maybe a fatality or building damage. The reason they do that is they've figured out that the learning is much more vibrant, much more engaged when there was immediate consequences shortly thereafter or shortly before that. They absorb the information better, it's more real, it's more serious. So you want, just like a firefighter, you don't want people to die, obviously, but you want stuff to go wrong. It allows you to help your rep. You want to be there, you want to see it, you want to absorb it. You don't want to jump in the car and scream at them. You want to absorb it, use it as a teaching moment sometime thereafter. Maybe you go have a cup of coffee, maybe it's later that day, but you need to absorb it, sort of get your composure, because you did pay this person and you undoubtedly trained them and you're a little bit disappointed. You might be very disappointed, but you have to let them make mistakes. And not horrible, not lying, not cheating, but you have to make them some mistakes. And just like a fireman, you're going to teach them after the fact, when the wound is a little fresh and the memory is recent, they're going to improve much, much better than if you Superman in or you just ignore it and run them over. Depending on the opportunities that you have to train, this could happen in appointments. It could happen on the phone. If you get your rep in your office on the speakerphone and they don't say anything, you've done it. Trust me. If you're sitting there and you sort of sat next to them and all of a sudden they just sort of shrunk back in their chair, it's happened again. There's telltale signs of this whenever it occurs. You don't see it because you're in the heat of the battle. You're in the competition, but it's happening and it needs to stop. It can also happen during an RFP process. If an RFP comes in, a request for proposal, it could have a 20-page document that needs to be created. You might not have time to teach them. You might have done these for the last 50 years. It's second nature for you, so you just go do it. You turn them into like a gopher and the thing is done. If that's how you expect to run your business forever, that's fine. But if you expect them to ever contribute, you have to let them contribute. My recommendation, my advice to you is give them an earlier deadline. So let's say it's due on the 20th of the month. Say on the 12th, I want you to create your version of this response. And we're going to work with that. They can use one you did from the past, whatever, but give them the responsibility to do the first draft. We all know you can jump in on the 19th at 11:30 and get it done, but let them do it. Let them try. If you have reps that are on the phone a lot, you have to be recording those calls. If there's inbound calls especially, you have to be recording those. That is your opportunity to be training. Obviously, it's a little bit off topic with the Supermanning part because you can't jump on the phone because it's after the fact. But just as a kind of a side note in this live on-the-job training deal, you have to record these calls and listen to them. What you think your reps are doing is probably not happening. You need to know how much it's not happening and do something about it with composure. I'm going to give you my solution, the solution that I had to struggle through because I was a habitual Supermaner. I was horrible at this. I love to win, I love to sell, and the fact that I got in that environment, I could hardly contain myself. It was only after I took these very concrete steps that I was able to somewhat cure it. And I'll tell you, the problem is once the reps sort of taste this, they like it. And it sort of exacerbates the problem. The momentum begins. It's like, hey, I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is make sure this appointment gets on Chris's calendar and I don't have to do anything. You have to protect yourself from that because that's not really what you're doing, right? I mean, I know it feels good, trust me, I know. But that's not what you're trying to, that's not the job that you have. So the first step is how you dress. If you dress like the owner and you're older, wiser, more gray hair, whatever, nicer clothes, trust me, they don't think you're there as a trainee. They know you're the boss. So don't dress like an owner. Walk in a golf shirt like a project manager. You can be a trainer. You can be in training. You can be whatever, and then come in with a story. So this is Joe. He and I have an appointment after this. I didn't want to leave him in the car. I thought that would be rude. He might be able to help out here. Is it okay? Sure. So have a seat, Joe. Okay, fine. Sit over there and be quiet, which is what you're supposed to do in the first place. You've choreographed this thing completely to prevent Supermaning. And trust me, I've changed clothes in enough parking lots to know that it works and that you should do it. The other thing is, if you have a business card that says CEO, owner, inventor, founder, whatever it is, keep it in your pocket. You can use your real name, obviously, but don't give them the business card. It gives away the whole charade. Just as a side note as to this, drive together. I know it might be inconvenient, but driving there together gives you a bunch of sales management time together. It gives you some feedback afterwards. Again, just like a parent of a little leaguer, you don't want to go into a 3-hour autopsy of the appointment right after you left the appointment. You want to just say, well, that went well. There's some things we can improve. Let's talk about it tomorrow and work on something else. But drive together, arrive together, sit in the lobby together, introduce yourself to the receptionist together. All the things that you want to make sure they know how to do, you need to observe and do with them. Here's my challenge to you. If you can't stop doing this, you don't need sales reps. What you need are lead generators, and that's a whole different business model. That works. It's fundamentally sound. It's okay. Your business will never quite scale to the level that sales reps or a rep might be able to get you there, but you're going to be happier. You're going to have your better success, and it's clearly better for you. If you can't stop closing, if you have to be the hero, if you have to close, then give up the charade of pretending to create a full salesperson. Just get some leads. That can be a person, it can be a company, it can be the internet. Just if you can't let somebody be a full salesperson, abandon ship, get out of the sales rep management business altogether. So I know this is a brief, sort of candid look into some of my own problems that you might not have, and if you don't, that's great. But if you do, there is a way around this, and the quicker you tackle this challenge, the better, because you're going to know how to structure your sales force and what you need to do as a sales manager to be the most productive, efficient, effective sales manager you can be.